Hello lads, welcome back to Kickback Garage. Now this is I think number 12 or something like that in the series of the TV175 rebuild, and today we are going to tackle the old infamous spaghetti nightmare. So if that's something you're interested in, grab yourself a cup of coffee and I'll send the scooter over. Whoop! Right, first off I want to talk to you about this wiring loom that we bought. Normally I go for the MB simplified wiring loom, but this one is can we call it complicated wiring loom? I think that sort of makes sense. But anyway, the cool thing about this wiring loom is that it sort of follows original type spec, but it's got some neat little features that we're not going to be using incidentally, but I thought it worth mentioning. This orange one here, this comes past, follows the wiring loom and comes out just behind the petrol tank, and that is actually specially made so that you can fit a fuel gauge on there. But obviously you can use that for other stuff as well, maybe temp gauge or something like that as well. And we've got these extra ones too, and this is for GPS or gadgets. Should try and get my belly out of shot. So you've got these extra ones here. You've got one here, you've got one further down, and one further down there again. And these are actually if you want to go full DC and fit a battery. And this extra one here is, in fact, if you want to fit the battery in the leg seal toolbox, if you've got one of those fitted. You've also got one more further down the line here, this one. This one is if you want to fit the your battery in the glove box, and you've also got one for the original placing on the frame there, which I think that is pretty cool. And the other cool thing about it is you can put this wiring loom, set it as AC or DC or AC-DC, and what they mean by that is you can use the battery separately with the trickle charge from something like the vape system we've got on this one, and you can just simply charge the battery, but everything else runs on AC just to make things a little bit more simple. So yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. Well thought out bit of kit, but it does. I used quite a while to find out what these extra wires were, but now I know. So apart from that, it's been pretty well straightforward. Obviously the wiring is going to be different depending on where your scooter comes from. I know Spanish and Indian scooters, they've got different colour coding, but at the headset here, it's basically just a case of joining the dots. You've obviously got the controls from the switch, which controls high beam and low beam, and you've got the horn, and you've got the horn switch here, wire, the white one that comes from the horn switch, which goes into the horn. So it's pretty straightforward. It's really straightforward. And if you connect these wrong, it doesn't really matter, because once you started up the scooter, you'll see what's working and not working. I need to find one of these bayonet bulbs for the front here, because I haven't got that. And I'm going to be fitting this. This is the new headlamp I'm going to be fitting. This is a Scootopia one. It fits. I've tried it on with the headset top. Fits really nicely, and I still got the old CAV and Enchante thing going on there, so it looks original. A good way to get good lights from your Lambretta is if you fit. This is a halogen light bulb that fits the old type socket. But you still get a nice headlight there. 35 watt I think that is, isn't it? Yeah, 35 watts, so that's pretty bright. And the trick to getting those as bright as you can is actually by fitting an LED board on your rear light, because those things don't pull so much wattage or power, if you want, out of the system. So that means that you get more power to the front light. So that's cool. And shall I jack her up? I can jack her up and we can have a look at the back here. While we are on the subject of the wiring loom, let's talk a little bit about the light switch here. the rear brake light switch, the quality of these out on the market at the moment is actually quite dismal, to tell the truth. This particular one I got from Scootershop, and it just fits. And what I mean by just fits is very often you'll find that there's something about the design of them. You can move them up and down because of the special slotted holes on the strut here. But you tend to find that this part of the brake pedal won't touch the strut, and you'll be smashing the light switch with this part that's supposed to compress the light switch. So it's really important that when you set these up that it stops on the brake pedal and not on the switch. All right. As you can see, this one has got a little bit of a tendency to find itself behind the stump there that compresses the switch, but it's this one is actually doable. Some of them don't hit whatsoever, so you end up having to modify the switches. But this one, that'll do actually, I think, do the job. Right, now we are at the rear of the scooter. You can see here, this is the wire for the battery. This is actually made for the to go into the toolbox, and I've got one more here that I've taped down that goes to the battery tray. So that's pretty handy. So that gives you like 3 places you can fit a battery if you want to go DC or AC DC or DC, full DC. It's all confusing, isn't it? And the wiring loom carries on up here. This is the extra one for, I've just stuffed it in the frame for now. That's the extra one for the battery if you've got fitting one on the battery tray. And here is your accessory extra wire. It looks like an orangey colour. That is for the fuel gauge, which is pretty cool. Obviously, you could use that for a 6-speed or 2, you know, as a power up that as well. But yeah, that's cool. I can obviously fit it exactly the same as I did on my other scooter that I fit the zip vape. But this time I'm going to use the junction box. It's the same. Instead of connecting them directly, then I'm going to connect them on the junction box, and I'll come back to that when I've done it. I'll come back to that and show you how it looks. But the actual putting this together bit, I've already done on another video, and it's exactly the same except for the extra extension lead I've got here. So if you want to find out how to fit the SIP vape, then maybe I should put a card in the corner here of how I did that last time. So what I fancy showing you now is this newfangled bracket that SIP has made for the SIP vape ignition, and it's pretty straightforward. Obviously with SIP being German, they don't give you any instructions, and they're a little bit fiddly to get hold of, the screws at the back, so you have to screw the bracket on first and then screw on, like on this side is the regulator, and I'll take a round on the other side. Right, I'm trying my hardest to poke you in under the bracket here so that you can see how the ignition or how the coil is mounted. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there is actually rubber mounts on there between the coil and the bracket itself, and that looks pretty neat actually. But that's also a little funny trying to tighten those down back there. And you've obviously got the earth wires that go from the earth strap. They're also on the coil itself, because as I said in the SIP vape fitting, the earth has to have connection on the coil. And now you've vanished down there, and while you're down there, don't get some funny notions. Let's have a look. And while we're down here, I just want to show you, this is the cables. I cut those and soldered those the same way that I did on the front brake. Right, so when we're putting this into the box here, what we need to do is black is earth, and that sits on the frame, and then I put it on black. This black comes from the starter plate. I have to move my curly wires out of the way. Move out the way. It don't want to move out the way. Right. So this yellow one here you see at the bottom, this comes from the regulator, and the blue one here comes from the starter. So those two need to go together because the blue one is power from the starter to the regulator. So that's easily done. So put those together, and here are the two power sources for the main wiring loom, and you've got three here that you can connect them to. One of these I'm just going to tape off, but they've made an extra one here just in case you want to power up some goodies, which is a good job, Zip. So I'll put those together. The earth strap, incidentally, this goes from the frame to the coil and to the backlight and to the engine here. This is fit on the back here. I think I'll give you a bit of wobbly cam so you can have a look at what that looks like back there. So that's a neat solution. That just joins the engine on one of these MB spade connectors, like that. And we'll move to the back of the scooter. Back of the scooter, I said. The back of the scooter. So as you see, this is the earth loom. This one goes, as I said, from the frame. The black one here, this is the black from the BGM rear LED light, and they're not very colour coordinated, the old Germans there. So pink and black from the wiring loom goes to red and yellow on the rear light, and that is just about it. Right, that's the electrics plugged in. I tend not to test anything until I actually start the scooter, because that's probably the easiest way of doing it. But you can obviously fit a battery. If you've got AC, just remember to fit a proper fuse to it before you plug it all in. But it isn't rocket science. The important thing with electrics is just take your time, read the wiring loom, and just go one wire at a time. Just follow the scooter from front to back, and you should be okay, really. The difficult bit is when you're starting plugging in gadgets and stuff like that, and also another difficult bit can be hard to get your head around is if you've got a Spanish or Indian switch or something like that, because then the wiring is completely different colors. But yeah, so basically it's not hard, but it can be. So what I reckon I'll do in the next video is I'll be securing this wiring loom down and fit the tank and the toolbox and stuff like that. And I'd love to know if you can be bothered, go over to Facebook there and show me how to fit the rubber to the toolbox. I'd really love to know. I'm pretty sure that it involves some cutting and stuff like that. I have tried that job 100 times, and I normally end up just using the original rubber for the toolbox. But on this one, we haven't got the original rubber, so I can't cheat. So I have to try and fit OEM type part. But anyway, so I'll love you and leave you there, lads, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget, do the old thumbs up, grab yourself a t-shirt. It really helps towards the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.